On a bustling street in the heart of the city, there is a small restaurant called La Belle Cuisine. The owner, Mr. Henri Morel, is a longtime chef with a strong passion for cuisine. For more than 30 years, he has put all his heart into each dish, especially the beef stew in red wine, a dish that he believes no one can prepare better than him. One crowded evening, in the warm space of the restaurant, a strange man walked in. He was tall, with an angular face and sharp eyes. The man ordered a beef stew in red wine, Henry's famous dish. When the dish was brought out, he picked up the spoon, tasted a piece, and put it down. "This dish is not good at all." The strange man shook his head and said in a low but firm voice. The whole restaurant fell silent. Henri, who was standing behind the kitchen counter, heard the comment and glared as he walked over. "What did you just say?" Henri growled. "This dish lacks balance. The meat is not tender enough. The sauce is too winey," the man replied calmly. Henry was livid. He had served this dish thousands of times, and no one had ever dared to criticize it like that. "What do you know about food to criticize my dish? If you don't like it, you can leave now," he shouted, pointing to the door. The man stood up, leisurely grabbed his coat. He walked out of the restaurant, but before he left, he said something that made the whole place explode. "I'll be back in 3 days, and I'll make this beef stew with wine, but better than yours." As the man walked away, a waiter in the restaurant whispered, "The boss. That's Gordon Ramsay." Henry was stunned, his heart pounding in his chest, but he quickly dismissed it, thinking that no one could make beef stew better than him. 3 days later, in front of the restaurant La Belle Cuisine, a small truck stopped. Gordon Ramsay got out and opened a makeshift food stall right on the sidewalk. He started preparing the ingredients, the stove was set up, and the aroma quickly spread throughout the street. Henry's regular customers came out to watch curiously. When Gordon Ramsay finished the dish and invited everyone to enjoy it for free, they couldn't resist. The spoons glided through the smooth sauce. The tender pieces of beef melted in their mouths. Everyone was full of praise. As the days passed, Gordon's food stall became more and more crowded, while Henry's restaurant was deserted. He stood in the restaurant, looking out the window, seeing his regular customers laughing and chatting happily in front of the makeshift food stall. In the following days, Henri was restless in thought. He couldn't accept the fact that his beloved dish was being criticized among so many people, but what happened before his eyes was undeniable. The restaurant La Belle Cuisine, which was always crowded, was now so quiet that you could hear the sound of knives lightly touching the chopping board. Meanwhile, outside, Gordon Ramsay's counter was bustling with people, cheers and applause constantly ringing out. Henry stood in front of the mirror looking deep into his eyes. Was he too complacent? Was it time for him to change? His heart was torn, but his pride still did not allow him to easily accept defeat. The next morning, he left home early. He went to the wholesale markets, looking for the freshest ingredients, choosing each piece of beef, each carrot, each sprig of herbs. He flipped through the pages of cookbooks that he had never cared about before, listening to the comments from other chefs that he had once considered incompetent. 3 days later, Henri walked to Gordon Ramsay's counter. He no longer looked angry or proud, but a man who had thought things through. "I was wrong," Henri said, his voice low and sincere. "Sorry for the thoughtless words that day. I really want to learn more." Gordon looked at him for a long time, then smiled. "It's okay, Henri. The important thing is that you know how to change. Let me help you." And from that day on, two men with two strong personalities but the same passion worked together. Gordon showed Henry how to balance flavors, how to choose more delicate ingredients, how to stew meat so that it was tender while still retaining its natural sweetness. Henri learned little by little, no longer taking lightly the details that he previously considered unnecessary. Not only that, Gordon also helped Henri rearrange the restaurant's menu, minimizing dishes that were not really outstanding, focusing on quality instead of quantity. He also advised on the layout, space, and lighting so that diners could feel the warmth and sophistication from the moment they stepped into the restaurant. Under Gordon Ramsay's guidance, the restaurant La Belle Cuisine quickly revived. Henri not only improved the recipe for beef stew and wine, but also learned how to be creative with the menu, balance flavors, and optimize the customer experience. He realized that even after more than 30 years in the profession, there was always something new to learn. One special evening, Henry and Gordon prepared a small party together in the restaurant. The space remained warm, but the decoration was now more refined, with soft yellow lights and melodious jazz music. Diners, from regulars to new guests, were eager to enjoy the improved dishes. When the beef stew with wine was brought out, Henry looked at Gordon and nodded slightly. Gordon picked up his spoon, took a bite, and then smiled slowly. "Perfect," he said, and the whole restaurant burst into applause. Henri breathed a sigh of relief, filled with joy. He realized that passion lies not only in creating great dishes, but also in being willing to change, learn, and share. From then on, he and Gordon became companions on the culinary journey. Years later, La Belle Cuisine became a famous place not only for its food, but also for the inspiring story behind it. Henri, who was once stubborn and refused to accept change, has now become a symbol of the spirit of learning and continuous dedication. Late one evening, when the guests had left, Henri and Gordon sat down with a glass of wine, looking out at the bustling street. Henri raised his glass, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Gordon. Without you, I could not have changed." Gordon laughed and clinked glasses with him. "No, Henri, it was you who decided to change. I just helped you see it." Under the bright lights of Paris, the two old friends continued their story about recipes, trips, and unfinished dreams. The story of Henri Morel and Gordon Ramsay is not only a culinary competition, but also contains profound lessons about pride, humility, and the spirit of learning. Pride can be a barrier. Henri Morel is a talented chef with over 30 years of experience. It is understandable that he is proud of his skills, but it is his pride that made him react strongly when Gordon Ramsay criticized him. This reflects a common reality in life. When we are used to success, we easily become conservative, and it is difficult to accept opposing opinions. Pride can be a driving force, but if it is too much, it will become a barrier that slows our progress. Accepting mistakes is the first step to maturity. At first, Henri did not accept Gordon's criticism, but when he saw the empty restaurant, he realized that the problem was not with anyone else, but with himself. Courage to admit mistakes and be willing to change is a sign of a mature person. In life, no one is perfect, and recognizing your own shortcomings to improve is the key to going further. Humility and the spirit of learning have no limits. Even at the peak of his career, Henri still had to learn to develop. When he overcame his pride to ask Gordon for guidance, it was not a failure, but a right decision. Success comes not only from talent, but also from the ability to absorb, learn, and change. Humbly listening to the opinions of others, even when they are our opponents, is the way for us to improve ourselves. Competition does not necessarily mean confrontation, but can be an opportunity for cooperation. Gordon Ramsay did not come only to challenge Henri, but also to help him realize his weaknesses and improve his skills. The competition between them did not end in hostility, but opened up a cooperative relationship, growing together. In life, sometimes, opponents are the ones who help us see our shortcomings. If we know how to turn competition into a learning opportunity, we can go further than expected. Forgiveness and a willingness to help. Gordon Ramsay did not show any arrogance or nitpicking when Henri came back to apologize. Instead of continuing to prove himself, he chose to help Henri get the restaurant back on its feet. This demonstrates an important human lesson. Success is not only measured by individual talent, but also by how we share and support others. When we help others grow, we are also contributing to making the community better. Innovation is a vital factor in every field. Although Henri had a great recipe, over time, repetition and lack of innovation made his dishes boring. It was the appearance of Gordon Ramsay that helped him realize this and motivated him to improve the recipe as well as upgrade the restaurant. In any industry, innovation and creativity are always important factors to maintain success. Henri Morel's story is a powerful reminder of how we handle criticism, how we view change, and how we grow. When we learn to put aside our pride and be willing to learn and collaborate, we not only increase our self-worth, but also build better relationships in life.